8%. So what is that number? Well, get this. That's the slice of global CO2 emissions from just one thing, cement. I mean, think about it. It's the silent giant of our carbon footprint, literally baked into every city, every bridge, every building all around us.
But here's a crazy thought. What if the problem could actually become the solution? What if our buildings themselves could help fix this mess?
All right, let's dig in. Before we get to the really cool breakthrough, we gotta set the stage. We're talking about two of our world's biggest, kind of invisible crises. So the first one, we just talked about it, right? The absolutely massive carbon footprint of construction. But what's really fascinating, and this is the cool part, is that the solution for that problem might also be able to tackle another huge challenge. All that industrial chemical pollution, from things like the dyes they use to color our clothes. So the answer to both of these problems, it might just come from a hero that's, well, really, really old and incredibly tiny. We are talking about an ancient organism that could totally change how we build our world. Let me introduce you to cyanobacteria. Now, these little guys are photoautotrophic oxygen-making bacteria, and they've been around for, wait for it, over 3.5 billion years. Seriously, we can basically thank them for creating the very atmosphere that lets us, breathe, and for allowing all complex life to even exist. And as it turns out, these ancient microbes have like 3 natural superpowers, and they're exactly what we need right now. Okay, so check this out, is how these abilities work together that's so cool. First up, photosynthesis. Just like a plant, they eat CO2 and breathe out oxygen. Simple enough. Second, they are masters of carbon fixation. They literally trap carbon from the air just to grow. And get this, they're responsible for about 1/4 of the world's total. And third, and this is the really wild part, is something called biocementation. They basically secrete this natural biological glue that hardens up and binds particles like sand together into a solid chunk. So you've got these tiny powerhouses with amazing abilities. The big question is, how do we actually harness that? Well, scientists are now printing living materials. This is kicking off a whole new field called engineered living materials, or ELMs for short. It's this incredible sweet spot where synthetic biology crashes into materials science, and the results, they're nothing short of revolutionary. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. You've got your conventional manufacturing on one side, sucking up tons of energy, spitting out CO2. Then you have this new way, additive biofabrication. It's a low-energy process that actually consumes CO2. We're talking about a massive shift here, from making inert, dead stuff to actually growing, living, functional materials. All right, so this is where it all comes together. This is the payoff. We're talking about building and cleaning the future with these brand new materials. So let's start with solution A, building a much greener world. Okay, so here's the play-by-play. Researchers cook up this biomixture. It's basically sand, some nutrients, and our cyanobacteria friends. Then they 3D print it. But, and this is key, they're not just printing a boring old block. They're designing really specific shapes, like rotating and offsetting the layers. Why? To get as much light as possible onto the surface. Just a simple offset can boost the surface area by up to 17%, and that extra light means more photosynthesis, which fires up that biocementation we talked about, making the materials stronger and stronger over time. The building is literally alive and getting tougher.
I love this quote from the researchers. They say they can potentially bridge the gap between microbiological and architectural processes. I mean, think about that. We're not just designing for structure anymore, we're designing for life.
But hey, building stuff is just the beginning. What if we could clean things up too? Let's check out solution B, a living decontamination tool. Okay, this is where things get really next level. Scientists took some cyanobacteria and genetically engineered them. Then they 3D printed them into this spongy hydrogel. Now, these bacteria were programmed with one specific job, to produce an enzyme called lacase. So you drop this living gel into polluted water, and that lacase enzyme goes to work, breaking down and neutralizing nasty industrial pollutants, like that indigo carmine dye from the textile industry. And the results? Whoa, they are seriously impressive. Just look at this chart. Over 10 days, the regular bacteria in a gel did almost nothing. The gel by itself absorbed a little bit, but the gel with our specially engineered bacteria, it wiped out over 73% of the dye. That right there is the power of programming biology.
Now, this all sounds absolutely incredible, right? But it does bring up a really important, maybe even a little scary question. What happens if these superpowered, engineered organisms get out into the wild? Don't worry, the researchers were way ahead of us on that one. They built in a brilliant safety feature, basically a kill switch. They engineered a gene that responds to a specific chemical trigger. If you add that chemical, the bacteria's own genes kick in and cause it to self-destruct. It's a clean and simple way to make sure these organisms are contained and don't cause any problems once their work is done.
So this is all amazing stuff. But where do we go from here? What's actually next for the world of biodesign? What we're seeing here is a fundamental shift in how we think about making, well, everything. We're moving away from old-school manufacturing, where we just force dead materials into shapes we want. Instead, we're moving toward co-fabrication, where we're actually partnering up with nature to grow the things we need. So, when you boil it all down, what are the big takeaways? First, materials can be grown, not just made. Second, we can literally team up with biology to solve some of our most complex problems. And maybe most important of all, things like sustainability and function, they don't have to be afterthoughts anymore. We can program them right into the materials we use from the very start.
And that leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If we can now program materials to build themselves and to clean up our environment, what on earth will we program them to do next?